Michelle, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Gretchen Hardman. I'm the Southern Maryland Liaison to Governor Hogan's office. I'm actually part of the Intergovernmental Affairs Department, but I'm also the leader of the Southern Maryland Regional Task Force. And this task force is made up of about 12 to 14 agencies that also are members of the Commerce Subcabinet. Secretary Schultz, the Secretary of the Department of Commerce, put these regional task force together to better solve the problems in our regions. And so pre-COVID, we had planned to come here to visit Leonardtown, and I want to really show the group the number of grants, state grants that you've received from the state and how well you've put them to use.
Great. Thanks for coming down, and we always love to show off Leonardtown. So I guess I'd start by about 20 years ago. The town we had 14 boarded up buildings, people sleeping in boxes on the square. There was talk of disincorporation. Things were really dire. So the mayor and council made a decision they really had to turn things around, and they started working and on just making it a place that people really wanted to be. And through state grants, we've been able to do so much more than we would have otherwise. So I'm Michelle McKay. I'm the town administrator. I've been here for about 20 years. And from the beginning, when I started in about 2001, we actually began with our waterfront redevelopment. And at that time, people didn't even know we had a waterfront. There were burned out buildings, there were old piles and burned out building in the water, old tires in the water. It was under private ownership, and it was really in bad shape. So we started with a $104,000 community legacy grant from DHCD, Housing and Community Development, and we cleaned up the site, hauled out truckload after truckload of debris. And that spurred on the interest of a private developer. And then he came in and built the townhomes that are down there now. And we purchased, with program open space money, $200,000 we got from program open space. And we purchased the parkland that we now have the public park on. And then we proceeded to develop the park as a passive park, passive waterfront park. And so now it has so much activity every day. The county, St. Mary's County, put in about $2.5 million. The town about $500,000, and we oversaw the construction and design of the project. Then we also had several other partners. Quality Built Homes, a local builder, invested $500,000 in the wharf. And then waterway improvement, we had about over $800,000 in grants from waterway improvement, which is through the Department of Natural Resources.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we also had some community legacy grants through Housing and Community Development, community parks and playground grants from Department of Natural Resources. And we put all those funds together and have a beautiful park now. There's a children's playground and a pavilion, which was also a community parks and playground grant later. And today we have a thriving, active park. We have canoeing, kayaking, boaters, stand-up paddleboard, yoga classes, exercise classes, people walking their dogs. It's just incredible, the activity that we see down there now. And none of that could happen without the state support.
And what about, do people use it for weddings?
They do. We rent it out for weddings. It can be just a small ceremony, or it could be rent a large tent and have large weddings down there. So
yeah.
And other events as well. We have the old-fashioned boat race. And recently we just completed our floating dock and slips, and that was with also waterway improvement funding. And just this week we found out we got a second phase grant to complete those slips and pier. And so,
nice.
Yeah, so we've really been starting to see a lot of boaters coming in. And just yesterday we found out we received a Maryland Heritage Areas Authority grant to purchase a paddle wheel boat, an old-fashioned paddle wheel boat, holds 140 people. It can be used for tours. It can be used for events. So we hope to purchase that. I called the captain
Awesome.
today, and it's still available. So he even said he'd come down and run it for us. So
Oh, great.
yeah,
I
so-
remember that.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So it's just a thriving park today, and we're really happy that people can enjoy it every day.
Well, that's great. I definitely remember seeing the pictures of the paddle boat.
Yeah.
And so when do you guys think?
Well, it could happen right away. It is available, and I'm not sure how fast the grant money will come in, but it's really an exciting opportunity. Moving on, I'd like to come back to the town square, which we talked a little bit about at the beginning and what the condition was. Really, we focused on pedestrian improvements to that early on in the early 2000s. The brick sidewalks, street lighting, benches, just wanted to make it feel more comfortable. And then in 2006, the State Highway Administration came in. At the time, they owned part of Washington Street and Fenwick Street, which came right through the town. And so they had a beautification streetscape project funding that they did back then. And they improved those streets before they turned them over to the town with landscaping, sidewalks, street lighting. So that was a really big improvement to the town. We also used a lot of community legacy money for street sidewalk improvements, connectivity, both to the waterfront and to other neighborhoods, and also for street lighting to make it safer. We did we recently have done a facade improvement grant where we re-grant money from the community legacy with DHCD, Housing and Community Development. So the first round we had $50,000 a grant that we re-granted to 14 businesses, and it ended up spurring on $180,000 worth of improvements to buildings in the downtown.
Oh, wow.
So, and we just received another $25,000, so we're going to start that round of grants probably in September. So you'll see a lot of projects if you walk around downtown that have been recent, and it's just made a really big difference. So.
It's definitely, I definitely have noticed, and I often, if another town in Southern Maryland has a question, I often refer them. You might not know this. Well, Leonardtown does it this way. So you guys have definitely, and testimony to your good stewardship of the funding that you receive.
Yeah. We also are the only Southern Maryland Arts and Entertainment District. So with that, we have leveraged Maryland State Arts Council funding for several public art projects, and partnered with the St. Mary's County Arts Council. And the first one is the Naturalist Bench, which was by Perrin Collery, and it sits just in front of the town hall. The second one we did is The Wharf Then and Now, which is a mural on the side of the Hair Company building by Jamie Nalawai. And I'm really excited about our newest, which will be installed probably next week. It's called Wind Cheer. It's going to be at Port of Leonardtown Winery, which we're going to talk about shortly. And it's a 12-foot tall rotating wine glasses made out of steel. It is amazing.
How cool is that?
And that's by an artist named Steve Rands. And they're
Oh,
all
wow.
local artists, and we're really excited about our public art. We have a lot more
Wow.
planned as well.
Cool.
So. We also have tons of family-friendly events in the square, which just really gives that community feel. And we're blessed that we still have our town square intact, so we can close down streets and have a safe environment. And a lot of those events are funded also by the St. Mary's County Arts Council. They help us with grants for those events. So, and that's a big help with that. So the town budget doesn't have to be quite as large for the events.
Yeah, we love. My husband and I are regulars for First Fridays.
Oh, right, good.
Mm-hmm.
We also have done some parking improvements. Several years ago, we got a coastal non-point source grant through DNR and did a pilot project with the permeable pavers and did a parking lot with that. So we've tried to improve our parking, and we're still working on that. We have a lot available, and we just need to make it so it's more inviting and people know about where it's at. We've also gotten several community development block grants. One of them was over $1 million for Cedar Lane Senior Center, and they made fire safety improvements in the senior living. And the second one was to purchase this building, Town Hall, to add an elevator to make this meeting room more accessible for everyone, and to add a fire sprinkler to the building. So that's been
Great.
a really big benefit for us. We also get a lot of support from Maryland Department of Planning, not necessarily in grants, but they do mapping for us. They help us with studies that we're working on, planning studies, and special projects. And that's been a huge benefit to us for having such a small staff, and we don't necessarily have someone that can do maps. And
Yeah,
so
that's what they want you to use
right.
them for.
So that's a really big benefit. And then there's our all-important town utilities, which really is the backbone of what makes us a town. So we have our water and our sewer system. We recently went through the enhanced nutrient removal upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant, which was the largest project that the town has ever done. It was over a $20 million project. And we received E&R grant through Maryland Department of the Environment for over $8 million for that. So
Wow.
that was a big help.
That was
And
huge.
yes, and that was a state mandated grant. And we're actually in the process now of designing an actual expansion to handle the growth of the town. And that will not be grant funded.
Now, do you feel like because of all this economic funding that you received, that it has lent to the population growth?
Yeah, I think we've been able to support the growth and keep that small town feel that's so important to people, and it's made it a very cherished place for people to live. I mean, we for several years we're the fastest growing municipality in Maryland. I think we're at maybe third or so now, percentage-wise.
Right.
So I think it's really a sought-after place to live, and we love that.
And what's your population?
We're probably at about 4,800 now.
Okay.
So when I started in 2000, we were at about 1,500, so
Sure.
tripled.
I would say
Yeah,
that it's linked to a population.
Yeah. And one of our most recent things that we've been working on is a downtown plan, and to update our downtown plan and to update our branding. And you'll see behind me and behind you 2 of our new logos that we've been working on, and we're working to implement a number of the suggestions from that downtown plan to make the square not just for large events, but just something that people want to hang out every day. So we have additional seating. We're working on an alley improvement project where you can have events in the alley system. We're calling it
Cool.
L-Town Alley. It's really cool. So
I love all the
very
seating
excited.
around.
It's really catching on. So we really want to make it a comfortable place for people to use every single day, not just
Right.
for big events.
Cool. Very neat.
Another great asset of the town is the Port of Leonardtown Park and Winery. So I was going to talk a little bit about that if you're familiar with that.
It may have been there once.
Just once. It was an old state highway depot that the town purchased once again with program open space money through the state. Then we received 2 community parks and playground grants for over about $400,000 in grants, which we had to match to develop the park area. And then the winery is located in one of the buildings, and it is one of the only cooperative-run wineries in the whole country.
Really?
And yes, it is. And it's
Wow.
12 grape growers that actually run the winery, and they've produced over 150 award-winning, or received over 150 awards, including international awards for their wine. So they're really doing a great job.
Yeah.
And then one little secret that's out there is the little pavilion that's out there, and that was funded by Community Parks and Playground also. And that is the roof of that building was the roof off of the old 1920s water tower that we tore down on Church Street, that we repurposed for the pavilion, and just to keep it as our history. So
Yeah, that's really
a little
neat.
known fact.
Huh.
And that Port of Leonardtown is where our newest public art project is going to be going as well. So
Wow. Very cool. I'm guessing that some of the state grants that go around the state are after several years, maybe are not maintained. There's a turnover of staff, but I mean, you guys just seem to be thriving and kept everything like fresh and
we're
new.
lucky we've had a staff that's been with us for a long time, so we have a lot of history. We've built a trust, I think, with the state agencies. We use the money when we get it. We report on time, and they like to see projects that are done to completion. So I think that's a lot of the reason that we've been successful. Also, we've done a lot of planning, a lot of studies, a lot of pre-planning for growth that's going to come, so we know what we need to do when it gets here, and not just always being reactive.
Shelf it
Yeah,
or something.
exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
We've also had a lot of great partners. We've had Paragon Properties has done a lot of development in the downtown, where he's gone up a story on like maybe a 2-story building. He's made it a 3-story and repurposed it and redeveloped it. We've also had W.M. Davis, who's done a lot of development of commercial and office out on Route 5 especially. Quality Built Homes that I mentioned earlier, they've been a great partner. They developed Leonard's Grant, which was the first neo-traditional community in Southern Maryland, and very successful. And now they're developing the Meadows at Town Run, which is also on Hollywood Road. We also have Marik Properties, who's a big partner, and they developed Clark's Rest on Route 5. Rainbow Construction, they purchased the PNC building, which was a iconic building right on the square that was vacant for several years, and they've come in and redeveloped it as very upscale apartments and retail on the first floor. And then probably our most recent great discovery was Jerry LaRue and Shepherd's Old Field Market, which was an old lumber yard and warehouse, and she has redeveloped it into the beautiful community catalyst for businesses. There's over 50 businesses in there.
Wow,
50 different shops and kiosks for individual owners.
Mhm.
And then the Brewter Garden, which is the beer garden that's open. It's a lot of just a really community gathering space is what she's wanted to create, and it's walkable to the downtown. So that's going to be a really important future, and with all the improvements with the downtown plan, I think we have a bright future ahead of us.
Wow, congratulations. You guys have really done a great job.
Thank you. Well, I think it's there's so many reasons to live, work, and play in Leonardtown, and we invite everyone to come and visit.